Hello, this is Traveling with Retired, Daryl and Terry, and we've been contacted by a few people that they want to know what kind of lessons learned that we've learned on this trip. We've been on a 7-week, 51-day trip, and we learned a few lessons that we would do things differently, but we also did our research and we did some things right. So I'm going to let Terry start off with a list.
For packing the food, we took clear plastic bins, and I did my canned goods, fruits, vegetables, and mushrooms, olives, and assortments, beans, in weeks worth. So I wouldn't have to rummage through, but I would get that week's worth of canned goods and utilize them. And I cooked meat ahead of time, put it in plastic bags, and got as much air out as possible, laid them flat, froze them, and just layered them up in the freezer. So I got probably 30 meals, I think, to start with, and then of course we added to that as we went. We were able to get perishables along the way, of course, salads and apples and grapefruit and whatnot that we enjoy, that helped add to it, but the canned goods helped a lot. Something I learned from another camper was I drink a little milk with my coffee and a little milk with my cereal, and I took cans of evaporated milk and would dilute it 1-to-1 with water, and that lasted me several days to a week, and so I didn't have to buy fresh milk, and that was very helpful. We also found that we liked frozen pizza on the grill. That was a new one for us, but that was an experiment that we really liked.
Right.
We stocked up at different stores when we could, because we don't know what was available ahead of time. So when we got to a place, we stocked up on it. We prepped during downtime. You have to let your driver have downtime. I'm not doing any driving, so we have to let the driver, have downtime and rest, and that's when I chose to do my laundry and cleaning and cooking and prepping. And we ate outside, and so that was really nice. We had a tray, got a tray that we bought to carry the food, so I didn't have to take it one armful at a time, and that was real helpful for getting food out to the picnic table.
When I drive, usually we go to a location and we spend 4, 5, some days, sometimes 7 days at it. So we've traveled to Rocky Mountain National Park, spent 4 days there, 5 days at the Grand Tetons, 7 days up in Yellowstone, 4 days up in Glacier National Park. Drove down a couple days in Steamboat Springs, 4 days in Moab to visit Arches and Canyonlands, 4 days in Bryce Canyon, and took a day to go see Capitol Reef. Then we spent 5 days in Zion, and then now we're in Grand Canyon, where we're going to spend 5 days before we head back to Texas. So I try to limit my driving to, say, no more than 370 miles. If I go 400, it's because I don't have a choice, but we try to keep it around the 350 mark, and there's some days we've had less than that. And then I like to, when we travel, we stop at, say, an RV park along the highway, so we usually pick KOAs, but that's not always the case. We just figure, hey, this many miles, what's a good place to get off the road, the interstate, back on and on our trip.
Definitely make reservations ahead of time. We're destination travelers, and we don't like to just say, well, we're going to stop here and pull off for the night. We like to know where we're going to be at, so we've got a goal in mind, and we know ahead of time that we've got a reservation.
Right. For example, Grand Tetons, there at Coulter Bay RV Park, you can start making reservations 366 days in advance, and that's a popular site, and it fills up. And so we're already making reservations for next summer, and this is the last day in September. So you got to make plans, and I've talked to several RV people who are camping that they've had to like make changes, and they said they just can't find the spots because all the parks are filled up. We're at Grand Canyon. Like today, it was probably maybe a third people here, but by the evening, it'll be completely full. and we ran across that at pretty much every RV park.
We enjoy walking around the parks just to get to see different people's type of camping, and there's a big variety of camping, car camping, tent camping, to big U-Hauls, or
Yeah.
big Class A's.
Yeah,
And
and there's a lot of them have cabins too.
We enjoy meeting people along the way and just talking about different experiences, and it's just a good conversation starter because you have a commonality. Cell service is definitely spotty in most of the places we've been to, so
Yeah.
we grab it when we can and call our family when we can and let them know that it's kind of iffy in certain
Right.
places.
Pretty much all national parks, you're not going to have good cell service except for like certain locations, like within the park, visitor centers. For example, at Yellowstone, Old Faithful, you had good cell service there. You know, where there's a pretty good population.
Something we've learned for hiking is dress in layers.
Yes.
Go early, because parking fills up terribly early. Some places have shuttle parking that you need to make reservations for. Some parks have reservations that are required to get into.
Right.
Some of them you have to take bear spray. Tetons, Yellowstone, for example. Glacier would need a bear spray. We take snacks, salty snacks, apples too, plenty of water. And like I said, layers are very helpful. We have very good hiking boots, ankle height for good support, because some of these trails are really good. Others are rocky and
Right.
hilly.
We've seen people out on the trails in flip-flops, and
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. They end up coming back early because there's these are inclines, hilly, and it's just tough to hike on.
All the visitor centers are closed, but there are rangers parked outside that are giving out information. Of course, when you go in the national parks, you get the maps and guidance, but you don't have that luxury of going into the visitor centers.
Right. Terry mentioned to go early, and I would agree with that. We've seen a couple parks to where if you're not there early, they fill up because it's limited parking. We ran into that at Glacier. If you're not in by a certain time, they look, what kind of crowd control they have in parking, and if the parking lots are filled up, they'll close the gate. We saw that at Glacier. We saw that at
Arches.
We even saw, even though people might have got into a park
With
like
reservation.
Rocky Mountain National Park, once the parking area up at Bear Lake was full to where you catch the shuttle, they stopped letting people on. So some people, they only have a day at a national park, so I recommend getting up early. Zion is one you have to get in early to be able to park in the park.
Even if you have a shuttle.
Yeah, and the shuttle tickets, you get them online at recreation.gov. You need daily passes for Rocky Mountain National Park. Get those in advance. We had to get shuttle passes for Zion to get up into Zion Canyon. What other park had shuttles?
The Grand Canyon has limited shuttle service.
Yeah, right now the shuttle service, they got a couple of them shut down because of COVID here in the park. But if you get a shuttle service, we used them. Just have your patience and use them, because some areas you can't take your vehicles into.
We brought our bikes, and it was very, very helpful. There's a lot of the parks have multi-use pathways that you can bike on or walk on, and they're just really, really nice ways to get around. We really enjoyed that.
We rode bikes at Jenny Lake. There's a multi-purpose bike path that goes along the Grand Tetons there in Jenny Lake all the way to Jackson Hole, and that is nice to ride on. Jenny Lake, for example, is a lot of trails go from there, so that's another place you got to go early or you don't get a parking space. But we rode bikes in Yellowstone at a couple places, Old Faithful, and another trail that's out in the middle of no place. But we enjoy riding our bikes. We rode bikes at Steamboat Springs.
That was fun.
And here at Grand Canyon, they have excellent paved bike paths that you can either hike on or walk on that goes through the woods, and part of it goes along the rim. So
Very little bit of the rim. You can't walk the
Right.
majority or ride the majority of it. Something you need to do is take your patients with you at any park, but especially Yellowstone, Tetons, where the wild animals can go on the roads and they've got the right of way. And so if they're going to stop in the middle of the road or walk up the road, you stop. And people are stopping to take pictures of them. So traffic can be backed up for 45 minutes or easily while you're trying to get to your destination. So take your patients with you, take your camera and your binoculars. Take a good pair of
Yeah.
binoculars.
So we pretty much, we take our picnic lunch with us every day. If we put it in the truck, we have a little folding table and chairs to where some places we were at a hiking trailhead, and we just set it out and looked at the wildlife, and we had our lunch. And,
beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then we like to eat our meals outside here at the campsite, especially here in Grand Canyon, because there's elk walking around. There's one that just walked to the left of us here just a couple minutes ago.
That's it.
Okay, so hopefully this will help you. I do most of the driving.
All of the driving.
All of the driving. And I've got a Ram 2500 diesel, and I've had no problems getting diesel gas. We've actually had some places where diesel was cheaper than unleaded gas. So that's been pretty nice. And, I would do your research to where you get on roads that you can handle for towing a vehicle. I use
Trip Wizard.
RV Wizard, and you put in the specs, and there's other apps that'll do this, the specs of your trailer, the height, to where it won't send you down a tunnel, road that has a tunnel on it that your trailer won't fit on. But I use use Google Maps, MapQuest, different apps, but just kind of variety. But I've had no problems pulling up hills at all with the diesel pulling a 32-foot travel trailer. And I've seen, there's been some tunnels that it's like I've seen people go through it with their trailers, but I'm not sure I would want to do that. But hey, we want to thank you for listening to us and watching our videos. If you enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because we have more videos coming down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.